Hello interwebs, this is the YouTuber with the celebrity hat, and I'm back with another presentation for you in glorious amateur vision. And today's topic is interesting because I've had something delivered to me, and I thought, been holding off on this for too long. Let's go and talk about this topic. And the topic today is Raspberry Pi. And to explain, we need to go back to the 1980s, and there was a small boy called Eben Upton. And he had saved up his money, his pocket money, and this amounted to, what was it, 300 or so pounds. And he went and used that money to go and buy a BBC Micro, and it was what, an Acorn, I think it was Acorn Archimedes. He basically bought two home computers, and that wiped out all of his money. He went on to gain degrees at university upon computing, but it stuck with him. And honestly, I do understand where he's coming from with this, because I remember for when I was doing sixth form, needing to do all of the assignments for A-level, etc., and I needed a computer myself. I was lucky I was able to petition to get money, because there's stuff in the background, obviously, and that stuck with me because that's £365 for this second-hand computer. It's basically, you've got to start shoving in money to go and get these things. So I understand where he's coming from. And it stayed with him to the point where 2006 he decided to go and get something about it done. And 2012 is when he saw his labours come to fruition with a computer called the Raspberry Pi. And it was designed to be the size of a credit card. And it was so that you could get children to easily get hold of a computer, start learning, say, programming, etc. And this was a massive fundamental success, this computer, to the point where it's still going on today. And it caught my attention because I was looking at this thinking, can I use this for desktop computing? And on the 24th of June this year, 2019, I was showing someone at work first thing before we started in the canteen, because I was going to get one to try out to see if I could use it for such. And then I saw Raspberry Pi 4, because there's been a number of iterations, so for fourth generation effectively. And I was going to show the case and everything. And Raspberry Pi 4 has now come out, so that link, and what? April Fool's. Wait a minute. It's not April. And this is an official buying site. This is someone's shop. What? And I literally shouted that out loud. After a few seconds of just work out what the heck I just discovered, turned out they had just dropped the fourth generation of this computer. So after a few seconds of just quickly scanning the specs, the specifications, seeing just what's new, etc., I was like, oh my god, this isn't just simply a new version, this is a radical step forward. So I was literally swearing at the top of my lungs, stampeding out of the canteen to go and get my card, to go and buy one as fast as possible. And based on looking at all of the videos that had dropped to talk about it with various computer channels, I reckon I found it 39 minutes after it officially dropped. So I managed to get mine the next day, because it was first thing in the morning type purchase, so I was early in the queue. Brilliant stuff. And here it is. One of the very first Raspberry Pis to have come off the production line, effectively. And for those who don't know about these things, I will be going around it. Other channels have done the same, and I'm not afraid to just simply do it myself, and just because I want to go and say it for somebody who's completely new to this, doesn't understand, and to try and simplify things, so to explain why it's so exciting for me. Let's start off with this bit. This is a heatsink which you have to buy separately. There's two other heat sinks, and I'll go into that in a moment. Underneath here is what's known as a system on a chip. So you've got a bundle of processors, chips and stuff in one place. And here it's what's known as ARM based. So it's not Intel, it's not AMD, it's none of them. It's the sort of processor you'll find within a mobile phone or a tablet. They're very efficient in terms of energy and are quite good. Ironically, the original BBC Micro, that had the first ARM chip. So there's a bit of a connection there, you can argue, from the creator of this. This one is a quad-core processor. So in other words, you've got 4 processors together as a lump, working together. They're all the same speed, 1.5 gigahertz in total. Although overclocking is now coming along, so once that's all fully tested and has been finalized, you can then go and push the speed up to 2 gigahertz. But you'll need to make sure you've got the cooling for it, and we'll be going on to cooling in a bit. Here, right here, is the RAM, the memory. That is 4 gigabytes, because you can either have 1, 2 or 4 gigabytes with this nowadays. Before it was just the 1. I went full on in. DDR4, which would mean dual data rate, not so important, but the 4 part is important, because in 2019, that's pretty well on the edge, as it were. That's pretty well up to date RAM, which is very nice. You've got controllers, which aren't so important. This is all a prongy thing. That is what's known as GPIO, General Purpose Input Output. And this, in fact, Eben Upton, the creator, hadn't really wanted this originally. He hadn't seen the idea, but the others, actually his friends effectively, that he's roped in to go and help him, saying, no, you want to put this in. And so you can do extra stuff with this. And we'll be doing a bit of that in a moment. Let's try and speed up a bit more. That will be for something called Power over Ethernet, to do with networks. You can power it through your Ethernet cable, effectively. That's not likely to be of interest. Gigabit Ethernet, USB 3, USB 2. And that's a big step forward, because you've got proper Gigabit Ethernet, and you've got actual USB 3.0. Other competitor brand computers have been having this already, but this one's significant because it's here on the Pi. You get support as well, and we'll go into that in a bit as well. So going on to here, this side, that is a dual purpose port. You can use it for putting in your speakers, headphones and that. But you can also use this for composite television. So that's able to have one of the old school televisions put in there. And right here is a slot for a camera. That is the camera, isn't it? Yes, it is the camera. Because you've got the other one there, so I was making sure. That is, you can have a little webcam type affair put in special. And here is 2 micro HDMI. So just got a spare cable to show. The whole reason for it is that you've got within that system on a chip that I was talking about, that little block hidden by the heatsink, you've got your graphics, and it can handle 2 monitors at once. And this is something that people had been asking for. And with this, you'll want to be putting your first monitor in here. which I carefully labelled to save confusion for myself. In like that, keeping it nice and straightforward. I don't want to go and start yanking in and out. People have been rough and have managed to go and snap those bits off. Why you're being rough as heck with these things, I don't know, but this is USB-C, and that is your power supply. This is an upgrade from the micro USBs that they used to use, the basic phone chargers. I would recommend getting the official power supply. It has been, you've had people go and test it down. It was Mick Makes YouTube channel on there. He had gone and powered it right down to, what was it, 0.9 amps. Just simply think of it in terms of sort of like power consumption, as it were. And he was able to get it to still work. Couldn't get it much lower. At that level, you're not going to be able to do much really with it because it will need more power. So that's why I'm recommending you get the official supply, or one that is 3 amps, so 5 volts, 3 amps, to power this thing properly. You've got here another little connector, and that is for touchscreen. There is an official touchscreen you can get with this at 7 inches. So there is that as a potential. That is your Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. It's what, 5.0 Bluetooth, and the Wi-Fi is up to speed as well. And underneath here you've got micro SD slot, and that is your hard drive space, as it were. It uses that to power up to boot up the machine and run everything. And that's always going to be cheaper, more readily available. There's slight issues in that. Be respectful when putting it in and out, and it's just a simple case of putting in like so. This particular one is 16 gigabytes. I would recommend 32. You can go above this, but then you have to start looking at file formats and everything. It's quicker and simpler to just simply go for 32. And then you can just put it in and then run it. What does it run? You can run a number of different operating systems, and it can... People have gone and tried on this Windows 10 because there is an ARM-based version. But the Raspberry Pi Foundation does produce their own operating system, which is basically taking something called Debian and then tweaking it, modifying it for this. So, and this is what Raspbian, the operating system, is for. So we've got all of this. Now I've been mentioning things like heating and that, and we've got heat sinks on. And this is why I wanted to do the video, because I've got some extra bits. This is going to be for a little project of mine later on. And they are going to be of interest later. So let's just put these back in here. Get that into here, sort that out later. This is what I wanted, because up till now I've been using a quick £2 fan to keep it cool, and you do need to have this. What it will do to prevent itself from overheating, and these things do heat up a lot because you've got energy, there's a couple little minor flaws that they've got which are going to be worked into the next physical version. It means that you end up with a lot of heat, and when you're looking at like the infrared camera, the heat vision, it's like seeing different shades of rainbow. It really is something else. So what I've gotten is what you've got. You can get various other cooling solutions. I mean, that fan does the trick. Heat sinks, certainly those ones, they're helping, but only by a few degrees. So what I've done is get hold of Fanshim, and the whole idea is to cool it down as much as possible, obviously. Do not worry, this might sound all scary, that this might mean, and you've got to put the thing together yourself. It might seem on at first glance that, oh no, we've got something that's going to cook itself alive. It's not. The original Pentiums back in the what was it, 94 they came out, 95 or so. When those originals came out, they were overheating themselves to death. End of story. And what happened is that you then started getting heat sinks. So you started putting these sort of blocks onto them, and that sorted it. This has got like internal thermometers to stop it from going too hot. Once it hits 80 degrees Celsius, it will start to work itself down to a slower speed to make sure it doesn't get too hot. If it continues to getting hot, 85 degrees, then it really will start slowing right down to stop itself burning out. So obviously this is why you've got these items. So we've got all of this. Do I recommend this to people? Yes, I would. And I would recommend it for desktop. There's obviously the provisions that this is still a work in progress. Hard drives, I would be looking at solid state. Mechanical drives require a bit too much power, so you'd need a separate board. And looking at getting hold of one, because you've got a number of different companies that do these things. Get a separate board to go and be able to have the extra power to do so, because you need to up it to, what was it, 5 amps. This is very much low power, even though you've had the increase. And we can prove this because it's 5 volts, 3 amps, 3 plus 5, 15 watts. When you consider that your average computer is going to be, what, 300 watts or so? That's sort of like on a lower end. And going and with servers, you'll be looking at, just for a single Intel processor, the latest version that produced out, that's 400 watts just for that processor. So that could be very energy demanding. So that's something to consider here. It's much less demanding. You can have 2 monitors, and I do so. And it will be able to do 4K once they've finished tweaking and adjusting, because this is such a big step forwards. There's still stuff going on. Although the updates for Raspbian have slowed right down now. They've slowed down, because it used to be like pretty much every day or so, and it's been so until about last week, and then there's been nothing, and so they're basically caught up. You can use USB flash drives happily for a hard drive if need be, and you can do things like word processing. You can do your office stuff. You can do photo editing on here, and I was doing that just last night to work on stuff. You can do sound editing on here. This is up to your basic level PC. This isn't going to be winning any competitions or anything. It's not designed to. For the average person, this would do a huge amount. And you've got the advantage of the GPIOs, so that creates extra components to go and produce more potential. And you've got people that have extra boards and that do extra things. It's a little bit different, but I do like this a huge amount. And you don't need to worry upon viruses, because what it's using is Linux. So that removes a huge amount of problems there. So it's basic firewall, don't need to think about antivirus or anything like that. The updates, because of what Raspbian is based on, you're just simply telling it, look for updates, okay. Is there anything? No. Okay. Yes. You can tell it to go and update, and it'll do it in the background. And you hardly ever need to go and reboot the computer or anything. You can carry on working. It doesn't cripple your system like Windows does. So yes, I think I've covered everything I want to right now upon this. Hopefully this has been of use to people. Obviously doing the whole like, share, subscribe thing. If you like this, there will be more videos in due course upon different other topics, obviously. I hope you found this helpful and informative, and thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great day or evening or whatever it is where you are. Thank you.